Hello everyone, in this video I'm going to have an introduction on how to get started on the auto database project using the Access. If you already have Access installed on your laptop, if you use the school lab computers, you always can find the Access under the start menu of the Windows. So if you click on the Windows and you will see the Access directly under the A ladder list if you have it. After you click on that, you will get to the starting page of Access. You can create a blank new database or using the existing template, or you can open your existing databases. So I'm going to create a new blank database. And for the database, you need to name it. This is kind of different from the Excel or Word. We can name it later. Don't change anything after the dot. The file type should be ACCT, and then we can change the name before. So just to give a name makes sense, so you can retrieve the file easily later. Okay, if you want to review or adding, change it. So I'm going to call my accounting 300, chapter 5. So auto database, and then create. So now this is the starting page, because the assumption when you start on a new blank database, we are going to create tables. Tables are the data interest or data entities we want to track under each database. So each table represents a unique data interest. You can have like a cash table, inventory tables, account receivable tables, or equipment. In our database, we are going to have 4 tables: auto, owner, dealer, and service. In this first video, we are going to create the first 2 tables: the vehicle, the auto table, and the owners table. They already pop up a black table, so you can start from here. Or if you have something else, you can close that, and you always can go back to the create is the main tab we use for creating different objects under the Access. So we can create a table, queries, forms, all the reports. So those are the main objects under Access. And we have the Home tab. You have the External Data tab. You can import external data such as Excel or CSV or even other formats of the files. And other database tools, you can create macros or you can use your VB language. For us, we majorly will use the relationship building under this function, and then others. So now let me go back to the create and getting back to create the new table. Okay, that's the same thing we saw in the beginning. And you can create a table, directly under the datasheets view. Or sometimes I prefer to use the design, the design view. But here I'm trying to use the datasheets view for the auto table. Then the owner table will do the other way. So this one I'm going to change. You can see that's the first column. The default is a ID. They already named it for me, so that's the primary key for this table. But I want to change to the other name. Okay, rather than a general ID, I will call auto ID. So I can differentiate from other IDs, like the IDs used in other tables. So auto ID. And then we'll move on to the other attributes. They will ask you to define the data type. So data type is equally important in Access as the name, because the data type will determine lots of the operations we can do later for this data field. For the name, I think this is the brand for the auto. So I will choose a short text. So brand, lowercase or uppercase, both are fine. And then model, another short text. And year of the car. For year, you may think, oh, should I use a number? Because, the year seems to be as a number, but we don't need any calculation, right? So adding or minus is not really a numerical mathematical value. So I can just use a regular text. Okay, so year. And then this date. So go back. So short text and then date. And I can make this date as a drop-down list. Okay, for example, so when I change the data type, okay, I can show you later, but now let's leave it as a state. And finally, the person ID, which will link to the owner table, right? The owner ID for this auto, so person ID. Or you can call owner ID. But as long as you are aware of this is a foreign key to link to the owner table. So I'm going to use these 6 data fields for the vehicles. And I'm going to change the data type for the auto ID from a auto number generated by access to something, a short text also. So for doing that, I need to switch to the design view, which I'm going to the home tab. And you can see this view. We have 2 views available for tables. For each of the object, you at least have 2 views, right? So you always can toggle from here, or you can see the switch in the lower, the bottom right. Okay, you can switch from the available views. So this is the design view I'm going to change. But before that, I need to name the table. I will just call auto, or you can say vehicle, right? So the autos. It's not showing the ID, like the name of the fields and also their data type. So I'm going to change the auto number to another short text. And for example, if the state, okay, for this one, I want to change to a lookup wizard. Okay, so you can stay with the short text, but I can change this to a lookup wizard, right? So I want to look the lookup wizard and get a value from another table. I'm not getting from another table. I'm going to type my own values. For example, all of the aggregations of the 50 states, right? So on the United States. So I'm going to type the value. So like number of the columns. So only one, but I'm going to have, for example, Texas. And then CA, then like New York. Just the makeup, okay, like so AK or like so anything like what do we have? Oh, MA, right? I just put 5 of them. Okay, so you can continue to finish all of the 50 states. So this one will become the drop-down list. So when the users enter data, they cannot enter their own. They need to use the drop-down menu and make a selection. So that help us to prevent errors, right? Like for inputting the data. So I'm going to finish. Okay. So you don't see anything change from here, but when you enter value, you will see later it's become a drop-down list. Okay, for the state. And then I'm gonna go back to the datasheet view. Yeah, so save. And try one row of data. Okay, only one row because Most of the data, we are supposed to use forms to enter data rather than enter or change the data directly in the table format. So auto ID, I will just put A001 and the brand, Ford, and model Escape, and year, I'm just 2017. And now when you do the state, you can see it's a drop down value, right? So rather than input your own, okay, to prevent errors and mistake. So restricted, okay, so TX. And the person ID, I can use 0001. Okay. If you already build up your person, like the owner table, so you can make the person ID as a lookup wizard as well, or you can only selecting the available personal IDs, okay, from the list. But here I'm just inputting new values. So this is I'm done for the auto table. Also the auto table, and I'm going to close. For more data entrance, I will use the forms, okay, which I introduced in the other video. So close that and then create the owner table. So similarly, I'm going to change the ID to person ID and a text file for last name, or you can put it under or slash. Okay, so do not really recommend use space. Do not have space between the name of the fields or name of the tables. So that's a recommended, coding, approach. And another field for first name, the address, and the phone. I'm going to use a phone. So like 5 data fields. Okay, so I'm really making the address as a combo field. Okay, you can separate the street address, street number, street address, then city, state, or even the zip code. Okay, but to simplify, I'm just have one combo address column. Okay, the phone numbers. And now getting back to the design view, and this will be the owner table. So name the table before we switch to the design view. Okay, the personal ID, I'm going to change to a short text. The only thing I want to show you the phone or zip code, right? So we can define the data format. For this one, you have all of the following field choices in the bottom to fine tuning the value inputs for the field, like for the phone. For example, under the input mask, the third row, I can so click on these 3 dots in the right. Okay, save the table. And now you can require the phone format, right? So that's the common ones we use. And you have the data format and the time and some other choices like for zip code. This one, I'm going to use this one. So next, and input a mask and finish. And now you have this format. So when people input the phone numbers, they will require them to have compliances with the data format requirements. So now let's switch back to the datasheets view and add 1 rows of data. We save that. And personal ID, I will have 0001. And last name, I will just put my own. And K. Yeah, address, I will just skip that. But the phone, you can see, is a formatting, right? So I will have the area code. Oh, here, you need to move. 713 313. Okay. And now I'm done for the first rows of data. So close and it will save. Before we move on, let's create the link between these two tables to create the relationships. So click the like the database tool and the relationships. If you don't see the tables, so you can require like show the tables. Okay, now I already have them. So bring the two tables, just drag them both into the catalyst. Okay, it's showing all of the data fields with their key, the primary keys. The auto table is linked to the owner table by the person ID, right? So the personal ID is the primary key in the owner table, but a foreign key onto the auto table. So to link them, I just select the person ID from either side. Okay, now I'm going to from here. So you click on the just the one single click on the person ID here. So drag all the way and drop it. Okay, when you have hover on the personal ID and you can drop it, you see this pop up. Okay, pop up dialog. And it's showing a one-to-many relationship. So access already detected. Okay, one owner can have multiple cars, right? And I want to inverse. So if you want to inverse the referential integrate, so means the personal ID I have in the like the auto table must be consistent with the owner, like the existing owner IDs. You will click on the inverse referential integrate. Okay, then you create. You see this one-to-many relationships. And after we build on this, so we can link the data between the two tables together. Okay, let's close and save. I will show you so how we can do this. So now I want to create, for example, a report. Okay, a simple report. I'm going to use the report wizard. A report is now I have the auto table, right? So for example, I want all of the data fields. Okay, I can use this. You can see the double arrows means all fields. If I only want some of them, right? Like I can choose, but I'm getting all of them. If you don't have the link, you only can select the fields from one table. But now if I click on the other table, like the honors, and I can choose the ID already have it, right? So I want their last name, first name, and the phone numbers. So again, I'm only selecting the name and the phone number. So now I can prepare a report linking the two tables created by their relationships. If you don't have any relationship, you only can pick fields from each individual table. Okay, that's like the linked database. So now in next, and I'm using the default. Okay, the honor table will be the primary table. Or you can use, the auto table will be the primary one. And so adding grouping, I don't really have data, so just no grouping. Okay. And using, you can sort, or even you can select in the sorting functions. I don't really have anything to to finish. And you have a table. No, I'm sorry, report. Okay, I can change the name. I can say like auto report, and I can choose a landscape. Okay, you can see the combined. I always can for this one. I can switch to the. This is the what I see the view. Is the layout view. Okay, so I can adjust the size. I don't need that wide, so I can see all of the to adjusting for the space. For when you're adjusting the size, you need to do for the label and the value, okay, separate. So you can remove, okay, so move them closer, oh, so I can see on the single page. Oh, and even the models. Now because it's really spread it into 2 pages. And there's a formatting choices on the you build the report, like the state. You can move up. And you can continue to move on to the other columns, okay, because I pretty much we have enough space for the first page. State, oh, too close. But anyway, I'm just showing something. After you create the tables, we can build the queries or reports. Is like how to retrieve the data from your database. So now I'm going to close this, or you can see the layout view. Yeah, that's something look different. Okay, so I'm going to close. So that's kind of the contents, save. For the first view, in the next recording, I create the other 2 tables and all of the remaining relationships. Then the third video is introduction how to create forms to enter data into tables. And the last video is about how to create queries.